Alright, round 4. You won the dial. Might as well play first. We are going against Take On Man. We have 2 swamps here. Seems like 2 swamps and a sign of blood seems like a keep. So it looks like my first few turns will be playing swamps and casting sign and blood on myself. Play a swamp, go down to 6, cast sign and blood, go down to 5, have it resolve, go up to 7. Alright, no swamp in sight. I do not like that, so I'll F8 and hope to draw a swamp next turn so I can begin to an effect on the board. My opponent has blue and red. That puts him at either, let's see, what will I discard? Thinking corrupt. Some Izzet contraption could be eye candy, could be a control. Oh, there's our swamp. So either eye candy or Delver deck or control deck. At least if he's playing eye candy, we do have 2 edicts here already, so that will take care of Fiend and the Cyclops. He's only been playing land so far. Firebolt. Firebolt would not really be played in an eye candy deck. At least it's a swamp, so we can play it now. Alright, so we have hit 4 land drops in 5 turns, so that's not that bad. But our opponent has been firebolting our creatures off. I think I clicked the U-Blood by mistake. I will sign a blood myself and hope to draw a swamp. I've drawn no swamp. I will just do it again. I just want to hit my land drop, and now I have to discard 2 cards here. Ooblet and an edict. I have plenty of edicts, and I would rather get some life gain out of these Tendrils of Corruption, because I'm already at 12 with my opponent having 2 firebolts in the graveyard, which they can flash back now whenever they feel like. I will try and tap my lands. I'm getting some lag, and play a Ragger. I'm very happy to draw Chitterrat. Chitterrat's one of my favorite creatures to play, at least when my opponent has cards in hand. So, they will condescend that for 1. That makes sense. I was figuring it would automatically resolve because the Ragger did, but if they're going to counter it with condescend, it makes sense. Alright, so my opponent is playing an Izzet control deck, and I will probably be losing my Ragger here to a Firebolt that gets flashed back, but my opponent does not have the land. So, let's see if I can swing in for 2 here. I'll attack with you. I clicked it 3 times, I'm not sure. Alright, Looks like it's still attacking. Going to play a Gray Merchant here. If I play something else and he kills the Raga, like if I was gonna play something else, it would be the Pestilence and Exclude. The feeling of getting your creature spell excluded sucks, because they countered your spell, but then they also got to draw a card. My opponent has 7 cards in hand. 1 mountain and 4 islands. It makes me think maybe I should bring in my land destruction to help color screw my opponent next turn. Firebolts make me think maybe I should bring in my relics to get them out of his graveyard before he can flash them back. Gray Merchant number 2 gets counted. Alright, so I've done enough damage to myself, really, where I'm at 11 due to repeated Sign-in Bloods. Now, my opponent has 3 Firebolts in the graveyard, and Pestilence is looking pretty useless. Fire Golem. I will Tendrils the Spire Golem and gain myself some life here. So now I'm back up to 19, which is a very safe life total, only 1 less than the starting life total, so that feels good. My opponent's still on 4 lands on turn 10. For a deck that runs Firebolts and Spire Golem, so an Izzet control deck, and he does have Think Twice to flash back, but still 4 lands, you'd seem like you'd have drawn more, so he's probably not very happy with that. I don't want to corrupt because it's a powerful spell and it will just get countered. Alright, so as of next turn, my opponent will be able to start flashing back. So it means any of the 2 drops I draw will, the 2 toughness creatures, which are my Raggers and my Chittering Rats, and the creatures with lower powers, it's my Specters, will just be dead, but at least if they resolve, they get some value. Let's put my hand in logic order. That causes a freeze. Seagate Oracle, saving up mana for a counter. Looks like he's saving up at least Exclude mana, if not regular counter spell. Alright, so I can either Edict him, or I can try and I'll Edict him first, see if that will get rid of his creature. Does he want to counter it? Let's see. My opponent has disconnected. Alright, he'll be back. I would say this is probably a favorable matchup. Izzet controls a good deck, but a lot of it has to do with how many threats can they put on the board, and I would say that my deck has the ability to kill more threats and they can pose. So if he counters this edict, I'm just going to edict him again, and he won't be able to counter that one. I love the fact that Chanter's edict became common thanks to VMA, and it gives the deck much more reach than it had before. Before I was running in the Devour Flesh, which I could use on my own creatures when I was going against Burn, but having the ability to flash it back is much more useful than the option of casting it at instant speed on and having the potential to use it on yourself to gain life, because it would still gain your opponent's life when you used it in the ideal circumstance. I think he has Exclude, so he has 7 cards in hand, so I don't want to play into his 7 cards when he's running Exclude, so I'm just going to say go. Could easily have a regular counterspell as well. Alright, so now he's holding up just regular counterspell Exclude. Draws 2, he'll go up to 8 cards, which means he might even have to discard if he doesn't have anything. Oh, welcome to the beta client. I'd like to wait. Alright, so I think he discarded there, but yeah, I discarded an Evolving Wilds. I was thinking about playing Chittering Rats. I'll edict him first. And now I will Chittering Rats. In a matchup like this, I just try and play a control game. I don't want to enter into too much in an aggro. I don't want to flood the board. I've taken his turn and played a land, but due to this client, I have no idea what's going on. My opponent might have already won the game, and I'm just sitting here looking at my screen turn colors. I understand that the people that write this program, they've largely been changing the curtains on the Titanic when they've been changing the color schemes and a lot of different things. This is the real issue here. The real issue is how much memory this program is using. I've never used any other computer program that uses as much memory as this one, so if there's anything that they should work on, it's the amount of memory that this program uses. Oh, we used one of the new cards in the new tech. Gain some more life, dual land. Alright, that's fine. And firebolt number 4. Oh, he has drawn all his firebolts. Let's see, if he has Exclude in his hand, I can't imagine him not countering this with Exclude, so. It deprives it. Alright, I'll try and push Gary through. Only a 2-point drain, but it's still 2-4. It means I'll have to Fire Blast it if it resolves. Condescend for 2. Oh, I can't pay that. Four firebolts in his yard, so that results in 8 damage in 2-point intervals that he can do. Oh, I really don't want to play my Shinobi just because you can just flashback a Firebolt, making the whole thing worthless. So I'm just going to say go. Luminous Grace. Alright, so now he gets to get rid of any excess land he has. Let's see what his answer is for this. Counter spell. Alright. I will cycle this. Let's see if I play witches. If I play witches, I might actually be able to attack with it next turn, and then ninjutsu in a shinobi. Well, the best case scenario would be the shinobi hits, makes him discard 2 cards, and it dies next turn to Firebolt, but my opponent's disconnected. Unfortunately for him, he has a bad internet connection now. But I've actually used more time than he has, so he's in a fine position both in this game. He's got 4 cards in hand to my 3. He's about to draw another one. And he has a Spire Golem, which is a very good creature in this format. I like running 1 Pestilence and 1 Rat, 1 Crypt Rat, as opposed to a lot of the decks you see run 2 Rats instead. The Pestilence is very good synergy with Grey Merchant in that it adds 2 to your devotion and you can keep it in play. But if you have a Gary in play, you can Pestilence for 3 and then it stays in play. Where when you have a rat, if you use it at all, it kills itself. So right now I'm going with the 1-on-1. I actually only have 1 Crypt Rat, but if I had more, I still would keep it the same. So alright, my opponent is back. And he's probably drawing cards and discarding land. I'm taking it. There goes the witch. I will bring out a rat, see if this resolves. It hits and exclude. I'll bring out Pestilence. Alright, Pestilence resolves, which I think is good because Even though my opponent will get to hit me for 4 here, I will get to 2 for 1 him, which is good. He still has a little bit of advantage of cards in hand. But still, cards are cards, especially in the Pauper format. It's really good to have more cards than your opponent. Alright, so I'm at 8 with my opponent having a bunch of firebolts in his graveyard ready to flash back, but I do have a corrupt in hand. So if I can resolve that corrupt, it will be 9 damage gained. So let's see, my opponent has 5 cards in hand, probably something, yeah, Flame Slash to deal with Miss Witch. Oh, he plays a creature. I'm a little surprised he just played a creature. He figured he'd want to just let Pestilence die, so. But so I get to keep Pestilence around. If I used it at all, though, it brings my life total down to low enough where just his firebolts in the graveyard would finish me off. So I have 9 cards. Let's see. If he has another Condescend, he could Condescend for 5, which means I couldn't resolve my Corrupt. Should I just, I think I want to try Crypt Rats, and if that resolves, Corrupt him. He's hesitating, which makes me think he has some form of counter in his hand. Alright, so I do not have enough mana to pay for the Chainer's Edict. 4 cards in hand. 4 cards in hand. 4 firebolts in the grave. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana. He could flash back 2 firebolts, and if he plays a Monin, lightning bolt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7 damage. Plus attacking with his 8. That would put me at 1. How many counters? Flat out spells does he have in his graveyard? Name counterspell. There's 1. There's number 2. Alright, 2 cards, but he only has 17 cards left in his entire deck with 4 cards in hand, so he probably has another spell, named counterspell, in his hand. So I will try and say go here. It's going to Electrat. Yep, Electrostatic Bolt. No reason to activate its ability because I have Pestilence in play and I can do that anyways. So. Alright, interesting thing. Should I either Pestilence for 3 or should I take it? Pestilence for 3, I put myself at 6. If I let him hit me, I'm at 9 and he's that creature in play. I'd rather let him hit me. Alright, he firebolted me, but he saved him on open, which makes me think he has counter in hand, but at this point I'm getting a little desperate. I'm at 6, and he has 3 firebolts left. If I play my shinobi, 4 cards in hand, I don't really see myself having many other options at this point. And he has 2 more minutes on the clock than I do. Alright, he's going to exclude. I don't know if mana to cast Corrupt or Flashback and Edict. If I Pestilence for 3 here, he can just double Firebolt me, and I will be dead. Let's see if he has a counter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He has a counter, which means I pretty much lose. And my opponent has disconnected again. It's the 3rd time, even though he still has more time on his clock than I do, so it's more embarrassing of me that he's disconnected for the 3rd time. He has more time on his clock than I do, so looks like I'm going to lose this game. Let's see. He has 2 fireballs, so he can just double firebolt me on his next turn and win. He doesn't need anything else. Wonder what should I sideboard then for this match if this is what he is running. Alright, my opponent's back. Wrench Mind. I'll cast it on him even though I know I'll lose next turn. Alright, so now I have to go 2-0 against him to win. Alright, here we go. Allegedly, here we go. Come on. Let's go to the sideboard. Alright, so he's playing an Izzet control deck. What do I want against an Izzet control deck? Wrench Mind seems good, and Choking Sand seems good. What seems bad? He's not really flooding the board, so I don't really like Crypt Rat or Pestilence in this matchup. What about the witches? The witches don't die to Firebolt, but They don't really tap to kill any of his creatures. They do have shiny white teeth. They add 2 to devotion for Gary. I like Font of Return in this matchup, so I will put Font of Returns in. And I will take out the witches. None of his creatures that he's running have been shown to have a 1 toughness. And now, how do I fit the relics in to combat his flashback firebolts? I have 50 seconds to make this decision. He's running Flame Flash, which means that Undying Evil is great to cast on your Great Merchant when he's going to Flame Slash. You're going to Counterspell, which makes you want to run Duress. So I take out Oublet, it adds 2 to Devotion for Gary. A hard decision. I'm on the play. I'll take out an Edict or a Dress. Who knows if that submit worked? Would you like to play first? I would like to click this, but see, not changing color. That means when I click yes, that means we're frozen. You can tell whether or not it changes color when you hover over the yes system. It should change to a much lighter color. It's still not. There it goes. There it goes. Yes, I would like to play first. Alright, I will keep this hand. You hand with 4 swamps against a control deck, so you won't be finishing me like an eye candy deck will really quickly. Put a swamp in play. Pass the turn. I won't be doing anything until turn 3, but against a control deck it shouldn't matter too much. Put a swamp in play. I'll click it 5 times and then pass the turn. My opponent has 1 minute on me, and I'm just going to be pressing F6. Island, so no red mana yet. So I'm assuming, he's at least representing Counterspell. Let's see, does he want to counter a Chittering Rat? It appeared he does. Alright, I will Edict him and pretty much say go. Unless I draw a Sign in Blood, in which I will Edict him and Sign in Blood. Trying to play pretty fast here and get the time advantage in case I'm in to win this game. I should be able to play faster than my opponent because I'm playing a deck that can make quicker decisions, but my opponent has lost the connection for the 4th time during this match. It must be very frustrating for him. So if I do draw a Sign in Blood, I will get to Sign in Blood myself and Edict him, which will be nice. And hopefully be able to do what Mono Black likes to do, which is kill every threat that your opponent can play, and then play some threats yourself that win you the game. Take on man. I wonder if that's a take off on take on me. Take on me. Oh goodness, I apologize for making you listen to that. Maybe I should pause this recording and until my opponent gets back, but I don't feel like doing that, so. And my opponent is back, and here we go. I draw a gray merchant, and I kill my opponent's gold. And now it will be his turn. Islands galore. Seagate Oracle. One island open, which hopefully he does not play another land, and I will assume my Spectre will resolve. Now the question is, should I play that Baron Moor so I will be able to resolve Gary next turn, or should I cycle it? I'm at 4 lands as it is. Virtually no pressure. Feeling like I want to cycle and save the whole Gary for later right now. What a weird mask that zombie is wearing, carrying a bag of goods, and my opponent has disconnected for the 5th time. I've lost matches due to having a bad internet connection, and that is extraordinarily frustrating, especially when it looks like you're going to win. And from my opponent's standpoint, he won game 1, and we are now in game 2, so we are both playing this match in order to get into the prizes, because if we win this match, we get 6 packs. If we lose this match, we get nothing. So due to my opponent disconnecting, I have taken the time advantage, or the time on the clock, by 2 minutes, and it brings up the disconnected flash thing for the 2nd time. At least if I do resolve my Gray Merchant and or this Corrupt, it will gain me life, which means it will take my opponent more time to kill me. So maybe I should go into clock mode as opposed to actually defeat my opponent mode. And I know some people don't like the idea of beating their opponent via the clock. I have no problem with it. The clock it's active, it's right there in front of you, and it is a part of the online game. So my opponent has under 6 minutes to either defeat me in this game, or if I'm able to pull this game out, defeat me in the next game, in which I have almost 9 minutes of play. And he only has blue mana available, so any red spell that he has in his hand is useless until he gets red mana. My opponent take on man has disconnected. Yes, you've told me this 2 times before. So as you've heard, I'm not a big fan of this new client. I think that the amount of memory that this thing takes up is absolutely absurd, and I noticed they seem to go around and like, oh, we've upgraded it, we have changed the color coordination on your whatever. That's not the issues that they need to fix. The issues that they need to fix are about the amount of memory that it takes up. And now I just thought something was happening, but anyways, that's what they need to do, is reduce the amount of memory this program uses, not change the color coordination on your avatar. But you can let me know what you think in the comments. And it's told me for the 4th time that my opponent has disconnected. Yes, he is under 4 minutes now to either beat me in this game, or if I manage to pull this game out, beat me in the next game. Pretty sure right now my opponent is trying to sign on and is getting a bunch of like loading screen menus that say loading, and I've tried that and I've gotten a loading screen for about 5 minutes, and I was certain that it was just going to lose due to timeout before I could log on, and sometimes I did and sometimes I didn't, but probably a lot of swearing going on my opponent's side, and if this was happening to me, I would make sure to displug my microphone so you would not hear all of my cussing. Well, according to the current Magic the Gathering economy going, I believe the M15 packs are selling for 2.65 tickets. So if my opponent does not log back on and I win this, I will be winning 6 packs, which will is what you get for going 3 and 1. So 6 packs times 3 is, oh, I must have done that wrong. 6 times 2.65, 15.9. Subtract the 6 ticket entry fee, 9.9 tickets of profit. So my opponent has under 2 minutes to defeat me, which even if he logs back on, just given my hand, seems very difficult to do. So I will assume that we will be profiting approximately 10 tickets, and although this is not the ideal way to win, this is Magic the Gathering Online, and this is what happens. So sometimes you lose due to bad internet connection, and it's extremely frustrating because you're winning. My opponent won game 1, and I believe against Izzet control, one at black control is a favorite, but he did win game 1. In his mind at least, he was the favorite, and now he is going to lose just on the fact that he has a bad internet connection. And now that he has 40 seconds left, there's no way he can log back on and beat me in 40 seconds. So I'll be getting 6 packs, approximately 10 tickets of profit, and either way, I still think that Mono Black Control is the best deck in the Pauper format. I believe I would have likely won this match, or at least am a favorite in this matchup, and the match that we did lose was against Hexproof, which some matches go very easily when you draw all your edict effects, and some matches go horribly when they draw their young wolves. It's an interesting matchup. I like the hexproof deck and I play it myself, and maybe I will play the hexproof next time and make a video series for that. But my opponent is out of time, which means I will be winning 6 packs of M15 for the 6 tickets entry. So thank you. I hope this was an interesting video set, and I do believe that this is in fact the best deck in the format of Pauper.